Good morning. Welcome back. Thursday, May the 28th. Geez, one day is like all the other days, it seems. Your Citizens Handbook was due yesterday. That's officially number 3. Get that in if you haven't already. I'll be taking a look at them today and tomorrow. You'll probably get them back over the weekend. Long lesson for you here today. Apologies, we might hit that 20-minute mark again. I try not to, but we just might. Branches of government. And there's actually 2 long notes here. There's no Citizens Handbook due next week. You get a break, so you got to give Mr. Fisher a little slack here. Cut him a little slack. Stop for a moment here and take a look at the 2 Google Docs I've attached to this lesson called Branches of Government. One's federal, one is provincial. So I'll stop for a moment here. So we're going to go through, this is how we pass laws in this country. It's a complicated process. It's not like a monarchy where the king or queen just makes a decision, signs a piece of paper, and it's official. We have a lot of voices involved, and I think that's a good thing. A lot of different people have a chance to have a voice as to whether a bill becomes a law or not. So let's think, for example, when Justin Trudeau was elected Prime Minister, he said, elect me, we're going to legalize marijuana. So we'll go through this process, this flow chart for that particular law, because they did have to follow this. Now, Canada's head of state is the Queen. We still have a royal family, and technically, Queen Elizabeth II, even though she doesn't live here, she lives in England, she is Canada's head of state. So she's at the top of the flow chart. No real power, it's symbolic, but there she is. And since she doesn't live in this country, she has a representative called a Governor General. Australia and New Zealand have the same thing for the same reason. They were British colonies once. They're now independent nations, but they kept the royal family. Our current Governor General is Julie Payette, astronaut. That's kind of cool. But of course, our Prime Minister is our head of government. That's where the real power falls. Now, of course, the Prime Minister doesn't know everything, can't possibly do everything, particularly at a time now with the pandemic. He relies on his advisors. Those advisors make up what is called the cabinet. It's a term we borrowed from England. That's what they call it, so that's what we call it. So the Prime Minister, once he wins election, he gets to pick about 30 to 35 people he wants as his top advisors. He chooses them from the House of Commons, from his own party, from the members of Parliament elected. Mr. Trudeau's a Liberal, so he's chosen 30 to 35 Liberals that he trusts and he respects to offer him advice. So he is a Minister of Health, which is quite handy right now during a pandemic. He's got a Minister of Transportation, dealing with the airlines and highways to some extent, Trans-Canada Highway. Minister of Foreign Affairs to deal with our relations with other countries. Minister of Trade, dealing with trade deals. Minister of Justice, dealing with our criminal justice system. Minister of Native Affairs, dealing with our Indigenous people, and on and on and on. About 30 to 35 people. He picks them. They meet together once a week behind closed doors. They make important decisions. And this is where bills start. Justin Trudeau and his cabinet will come up with ideas for new laws. So this CERB, some of you have heard of, the government payments that are going to perhaps some of your parents, to many, many Canadians across the country. There are payments to businesses.